The future of Tshwane Mayor Cilliers Brink hanging in the balance this morning. He faces a motion of no confidence. The background, the ANC sanctioning that motion, accusing him of poor service delivery. Brink says this motion has got nothing to do with service delivery. It seems to be part of a bigger scramble for the city's resources. Newzroom Afrika's Grootes joins us live now from the Tshwane City Council. And this is the site of battle, Stephen, in this greater war for service delivery, particularly for residents in the province. It was telling, the soundtrack that the DA chose for Cilliers Brink as he was going to address supporters outside the venue where you are, Eye of the Tiger, a survival song, and it seems as if that's the theme of the day. They believe he will prevail.
Indeed, Iman, good morning to you. I mean, in a way, it's a little bit of a knockout. If you look at what's happening here, you've got punches going between the various parties. They've been pummeling each other. Cilliers Brink, as we know, has been doing a lot of exercises as well ahead of all of this. But the stakes, Iman, as you know, are incredibly high. The DA has the prospect of losing the mayoralty of Tshwane, of finding themselves running no metros outside of the Western Cape. This is very, very important for them. For the ANC, the stakes are high too. They have to make various decisions. Do they continue to maybe try and cascade, to use Fikile Mbalula's word, the national coalition government to local government? We have not seen it, of course, in the province of Gauteng, where the DA plays no part in that provincial administration. Action SA is one of the key parties here too. Herman Mashaba has said time and time and time again that he got into politics to remove the ANC from power. Here he is leading a political party that says it will work with the ANC to elect the ANC into the administration here in Tshwane. How will voters see that in 2026? Lots of different directions that this could go. It's a complicated political environment. It's got local dynamics, provincial dynamics, and of course, national dynamics. Well, the person in charge of some of the local dynamics is the Tshwane Regional Secretary for the African National Congress, George Matjila. He joins me now. Mr. Matjila, good morning to you, and thank you very much indeed for your time. Do you really want the DA out of power in Tshwane?
Well, Stevens, we can only speak for the ANC. We want the ANC in the executive. We want to ensure that, issues that we have raised over a passage of time are attended to, and those issues can be better resolved by a government of the African National Congress in the local state. But of course, we understand that we can't be able to do that alone, because we have not won the elections in 2021. We will need to obviously have a working relationship of some sort with the parties that are represented in council. Hence, the ANC speaks bold of a government of local unity.
And who would be in that government of local unity?
Well, there are parties that we have been working with for the longest period of time. Those are the preferences. And in terms of who else are we going to work with, the national will guide us, because in terms of the process, I mean, we are from a meeting last night till the late hours where the ANC said this is the first phase. The first phase is that of ensuring that we proceed with the motion of no confidence. And what happens in future, it's something that will be discussed again. We'll sit again at the level of national to chart the way forward. So we are on the first phase now, and that's what we are dealing with today.
So the door still seems open then for a deal involving an administration in Tshwane involving the Democratic Alliance and the African National Congress, the two big parties working together as they are in the national coalition.
Well, Stephen, I'm not sure of the doors as to whether they are open or not, but I can speak of the first phase that we are in. And National is handling their matters at national level. We are dealing with the issues as mandated by the national leadership. So today we are dealing with the first phase. The first phase dictates to us that we need not to do anything except the removal of the executive mayor, and that's exactly what we are going to do.
Okay, so if you remove the mayor, your councillors today, if a vote were held for a new mayor this afternoon, you don't have a mandate on who that new mayor would be, which party they would even come from.
Exactly that. We don't have a mandate. We are not electing the executive mayor today, so that we allow the national leadership to guide the process moving forward.
Is that really wise? I mean, the ANC themselves have said, and you have a commission that looks at your coalition agreements. There have been, we understand it, certain principles adopted by your National Executive Committee that say we should not have a situation where the mayors are changing all the time. Here you are about to remove a mayor from a partner you're in coalition with the national government without knowing what will happen next. Is that really the right course?
Well, at times, the material condition dictates that some decisions ought to be taken. Remember, as we have indicated earlier, that there were some talks at the national level between the ANC and the DA, and wherein the talks reach a point where there can't be agreements. Obviously, we need to move, and that's exactly what the ANC is doing at the local state. So we are proceeding with the motion of no confidence.
How do you view the actions of Action SA here? Their leader, Herman Mashaba, said he got into politics to remove you as the ANC from power. Now, plenty of political parties have said, we'll never work with the ANC, and then they did. The Freedom Front Plus did, the DA did. I think ANC people have said we won't work with certain parties, and now they are. But none of those parties leaders have said that their sole reason, their only reason for being in politics is to remove you. I hate to be so rude, but he's been pretty rude about you, to remove you from power. Do you trust Herman Mashaba?
Well, we knew from the beginning that he was only bluffing. You know, any other leader who form a political party with the sole intention of thinking that he or she can remove the ANC. I mean, you can think of people like your Mampilas, and all of them. It's not easy, I mean, to remove an elephant like the African National Congress. You can only work with it, including the EFF and whoever. There's a lot of them who said that they will remove the ANC. Removing the ANC is not a child's play. I mean, this is an organization that has been there for over 100 years. And it's an organization, you know, an organization that you can speak of in democratic terms. It's an organization that is not owned by any other person like all other organizations that are there, you see. So, and it's an organization that has footprint all over the continent and even international. So when a person formulates a smaller party with the intention of removing the ANC, that particular person is bluffing, is playing.
You made the point that you'd been in meetings with national officials, and I think Fikile Mbalula is in the Eastern Cape today, as I understand it. Has there been any involvement of Panyaza Lesufi and the Gauteng ANC province in these discussions? Well,
the region and the province were invited. Unfortunately, the chairperson of the ANC in the province, he's overseas, he's in Germany. He was not part of the meeting, but he was invited. All of us were invited. So he was supposed to be part of the meeting, but unfortunately, because he's in Germany, he could not attend.
You understand Tshwane politics very well. That's why you're in your position. How long do you think this meeting is going to take? It's 10 o'clock now. The Hall chamber isn't anywhere near full at this stage. What time do you think we'll actually get to a vote?
Well, today it's a normal day for us because there are items on the agenda. We are not only dealing with the motion is part of the agenda. So in terms of the plan, the meeting must last the whole day.
All right, I think it was the only item on the agenda, is what I saw, but there are different agendas flying around. George Matjila, thank you very much indeed for your time. The Regional Secretary of the ANC in Tshwane. Well, Iman, I made the point at the start of all of this that the stakes are very, very high. Action SA is a central figure in all of this. I don't think this would have been happening if they had not agreed to support the ANC. We'll try and speak to them in a few moments, maybe an hour from now. Also, the Democratic Alliance, Cilliers Brink, has already been on Newzroom Afrika, channel 405 this morning. He, of course, will be determined to keep his job. And I must just also make the point, once again, that what happens here today is probably just the beginning of a fairly long process. Immediately after the elections and the formation of the national coalition between the ANC, the DA, the IFP, the Freedom Front Plus and others, Fikile Mbalula went on the record as Secretary General of the ANC, and he said that in his view, the national coalition should cascade to local government. There were comments by the relatively new mayor of Ekurhuleni this week suggesting that he's looking forward to working with the DA. You heard George Matjila's comment. For the moment, today is only about removing Cilliers Brink as mayor. It does not seem necessarily that the door is completely closed to a working relationship here in Tshwane between the ANC and the DA. It's going to be a long process. Today is very important, and there's going to be a lot more to come from Tshwane.